Okay, I've got this wall done. There were a couple of bolts under there that I had to replace, and so there's what it looks like. Then on the inside I've got some rubber gasket to go in the inside all the way around to keep air out. So, it's time to clean this and to move on to something else. Okay, I've got my trim on. I need to fix this aluminum. My aluminum around these doors. It's sharp. It can cut somebody. I need to find a border to put around that to stop it from cutting anyone. As you can see, I'm trimming off the excess butyl tape so it could look more professional. See, around the edges I've trimmed it, and this needs to be trimmed, and this needs to be trimmed around the edges. For right now, I might put duct tape around the edges of these windows, these doors. Because when you shut the doors, you're not going to really notice it anyway. Okay, some of these screws are really rusty, and so the heads of some of these are partially gone. So I can't get these out. I've had a hard time, and some of them you try to get them out, and they just sit in there and they spin. You try to turn the screws, and they just spin in there. That proves that whatever is behind here is kind of rotten. So I'm going to have to get a hammer and just try to pry some of this stuff off here. And I just usually what I do is I don't jerk it all off at once. See, the butyl tape wears out. See, this butyl tape ain't even sticking, holding this on here. Water gets down in here, runs down in here, you know, and runs down in the walls. It rots this camper out. And if you're going to get a truck camper, you got to realize you're going to have to caulk the thing. This guy named Taylor Desmond that had lived in a truck camper in Canada, you know, he caulked his camper religiously. I mean, religiously caulked his truck camper. He had an Arctic Fox truck camper, and he caulked that thing religiously. And if you're going to have a truck camper, you got to do like Taylor Desmond. You got to caulk this thing like religiously all the time, because it's going to be every month or something. There's going to be a seal that's going to be broken, a seal that's going to be cracked, or whatever, whatever kind of seal you call it, silicone or whatever it is you put on your camper. Constantly caulk the seals. Constantly go over your seals. And on top of this, even though it's butyl tape, you got to continuously caulk on top of here, 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 and every other surface that water. And I have to replace this stove vent. That has. For right now, I'm going to cover it up, take it off, and put a flat piece of metal on there, because I just want to stuff a piece of foam board in there and seal it up. I really don't want air coming in there, because I don't want any. And someday I would like to get a tri-modal refrigerator that runs on 12 volts, and I can run gas sometimes, but I also want to run this thing off of 12 volts. So when it's really cold outside, I want to stuff foam board in there, because I don't want that air to come in the camper. Okay, now I'm proceeding to take the trim off this side too. Some of these areas don't look quite as bad because the paint's still intact and they're in good condition, and I repaired this front part, so I'm not sure this board that goes all the way down through here is okay. Like on the other side, and I've worked on down there. I've taken this managed to get this piece of paneling off. I'm going to have to bondo that and rebuild that, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get these screws out and we'll see what we've got. Okay, now I have, if this picture isn't screwed up, then I have one area in here that's completely, it's a hole that I have repaired this area with new wood up in here, but there's another little area I got rid of, so you can see that. The wood that came out of here, but most of this is okay, so I really feel like I can, you know, just spray some bug spray in here and just put it back together. I need to repair the fiberglass and stuff like that, and get some Bondo, repair the fiberglass, and then reframe these back corners and that other side, and I'll be ready to put it back together. Starting to get this down. There's still some old butyl tape on here, so what I'm doing, going through here and separating this, This there's a bottom aluminum panel, and so I'm separating the trim piece from the aluminum panel so I can get the aluminum panel off of here. So that's the one thing I want to do, and I've got my trusty bug spray to kill the bugs. I've got these down, and you see this layer here. I'm going to put another layer on top of that 3/4 inch plywood on top of that. Clean this up, replace this back corner, and replace the stud in there. So I'm going to do that. Show you the other side. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Here we go. Up in there, so dirty it is in there. And that's been spliced together too, so I have to take this trim piece off again, I realize it. So I can put my flashing underneath it. My flashing is going to go like underneath the door. It's going to go up here, and I'm going to make it square. It's going to go underneath it here. But it's going to go over top of this. It's going to go on the outside of this, so it will turn water, and water won't go down inside there. That's what I want to stop. It's a more superior design. I took this door off and put butyl tape around it to make sure there was no bugs in here. I'm getting ready to put this panel back on. I meant to tell you that I put a piece of wood in here. See, I wedged it in there, and I put a couple of screws in there from underneath. I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to put this back on. Since this is all broke up, I'm going to cut this off and turn this around backwards and put this behind it and use some Bondo or some JB Weld. I'm going to put this side back together. This side's good to go. I've got my trusty butyl tape here too. So, okay, now I'll show you up inside of here. This is the rotten area. So it's rotten in here. Okay. I think I might just take all this aluminum off of this bottom and leave it off, because something like this, water gets in here, gets trapped in here, gets stuck in here. You can't get it off, and I can use this for some other purpose, you know. That way it'll be naked and open, and I can add a piece of foam board onto the outside of that panel to insulate that lower basement area. So I'm going to pull this stuff down, maybe take this whole piece of aluminum off so I can be able to inspect it and see what kind of condition it's in. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Okay, now, this board here was originally in the front, and it was on the passenger side, so I was able to salvage it. And the rotten part, I cut off the rotten part, and I made this fit for the stud that goes across. The reason I use this is because it's the right thickness. It's hard to find wood in this thickness that it's meant to go here. So what I want to do is I want to use this. So I'm going to paint it. I've got some spray paint, and I'm going to protect it from rot with spray paint. I'm going to cut a notch out of here and cut it out here so it'll fit. I'm going to get some boards to extend up from it to go up into the frame. So that's what I'm going to do. Here's my corner piece all framed in together. So, see, I did this. That is like this. And this board didn't come up, so I had to. This is going to go in the corner, and it's like my own little prefabricated corner. So what I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to paint it with any kind of paint. Any kind of paint to get on there, just to seal this up. I got the rotten part off of this joist here, so I'll see you later after I get this installed. Okay, another update. Now, those bolts I was telling you about, those 2x4s, there's 1 and 2. I've got them screwed in from the back side here, inside of here, and I'll show you the outside, what they look like from the outside. Just cleaning up this little bathroom. Okay. We'll see if these are stable. And see, it's not going anywhere. See, this one's not going anywhere either. Okay, I might find a piece of this stuff to put up under here to kind of brace it. Yeah, I'll do that now. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'll break this. Okay, shit. Okay. See, I just put that in there. Just as a little piece to brace this up in there. Anyway. So yeah, this is it, and we're just gonna cut our little siding piece, our little exterior piece on here, and then we'll put another layer on top of that. And that'll fix it. See, then we can put it all back together. And I know I damaged this, getting this apart, but I had to get to the frame. Okay, now, I wanted to show you. Got the aluminum on both sides, and it looks just like this. Okay, now my aluminum angle piece, I'm going to take this flashing here, and I'm going to bend it into an L-shaped, like angle iron, and I'm going to use this and bend it over the corner of this board to make it like angle iron, so it'll just go. Show you on the other side. I'm going to show you when I'm done. The end result. I can't hold a camera while I'm doing this stuff, so I've got my generator here, and what I'm going to do is build a box to go on it. It'll lip underneath of here, so it'll turn water. Then it'll go on the outside of this aluminum piece, and so I've tried to take a hammer and beat this down flat. I can't get it perfect, but this is up there, and this is all on here as good as I can get it. And so these bolts are under here. Don't want to cut myself. And I might eventually take this aluminum off here because it's sharp and stuff, so I can just take the wood and maybe put some what do you call it, spackling stuff for drywall and put it on the outside or something, or just a thin piece of plastic or thin piece of fiberglass sheeting or something on there, and then put a flashing around the edge and fix it on there. And I'm pretty proud of my door window frame there for that. That looks actually pretty good. It looks like it's professionally done. And I might take the flashing and put it over top of this over here, and then put my regular molding back on. I want it to look as professional as possible. I might take a piece of flashing and put it down through here to cover that up, because just right underneath it here, the flashing go on there and bolt on, look nice and neat. See, you've got all of the seal. You know, it would have been expensive to redo this camper if I would have had it done professionally at a RV dealer. That would have cost more than the camper's worth, but I did it myself. And it's not perfect, but I want to make it as professional and perfect as possible. And after I get it back together, then I can really, this is where this is bondoed back together, you see?